You gave them your body, you let them see you in your most vulnerable state. You shared your touch, your warmth, your nights. But when it came time for them to give you their heart, all you got was silence, or confusion, or the kind of love that felt more like a transaction than a connection. And now you're left wondering, did I give too much? Or did they just never show up fully? If this is hitting close to home, you're not alone. So many people carry the silent ache of having shared something deeply physical with someone who stayed emotionally distant. It's a strange kind of emptiness, because technically, you were close. Your skin touched, your breaths matched. You were right there physically, but emotionally, you were oceans apart. And afterward, they moved on, or pulled back, or grew cold. And here you are, left with the weight of unanswered feelings, wondering if the connection you felt was only yours to feel. That confusion can wreck you. It makes you question your worth. It makes you feel used even when you willingly gave. And it leaves you haunted by the question, why wasn't I enough for them to stay? But let's be clear about something right from the beginning. This isn't about your worth. This is about imbalance. And imbalance has nothing to do with how lovable you are. Let's talk about why this happens. Why someone can be physically present but emotionally absent. In relationships, intimacy should be a two-way road, not just body to body, but soul to soul. But many people don't know how to show up with their soul. Sometimes it's because they've never been taught emotional safety. Sometimes it's fear, sometimes it's selfishness, and sometimes they simply weren't looking for the same depth you were. What hurts the most is when someone takes what you offer physically, your vulnerability, your openness, your tenderness, and gives nothing back but fleeting attention. They tell you you're beautiful, they hold you close, but you never feel seen. They enjoy the moment, but avoid the meaning. And this kind of dynamic leaves you emotionally starving, because you're not just wired for closeness, you're wired for connection, and there's a huge difference between the two. Here's what no one tells you. Giving someone your body without receiving their soul creates a kind of quiet grief. It's the grief of being half met, and being half met can feel more painful than being completely rejected. Why? Because it tricks your nervous system. You feel closeness, chemically, physically, hormonally, but emotionally you're left in the dark. This creates dissonance inside you. Your body says, we were close. Your heart says, but I still feel alone. That inner conflict is what leaves you replaying the relationship in your head for weeks, months, sometimes even years, trying to figure out if you misread the signs, trying to convince yourself it meant something, trying to make sense of why it felt so one-sided. Let me say this plainly. If you ever feel like someone touched your body but ignored your heart, that's not your failure. That's not something you were supposed to fix. That's not your fault. Your body is not just a vessel, it's a sacred bridge. And when someone crosses that bridge without the intention to meet your soul, they've misused the gift. Even if they didn't mean harm, even if it was consensual, emotional absence in the presence of physical closeness still leaves real wounds. And you're allowed to grieve that. You're allowed to mourn the closeness you thought you had. You're allowed to feel hurt, even if no one else understands why it hurts so much. But here's the part we often miss. This pain, this aching gap between body and soul, isn't just something to survive. It's something you can learn from. It's something you can rise from. And eventually, it's something that will refine the kind of love you choose going forward. In the next part, we'll unpack how to protect your heart without hardening it, how to open up without handing over your soul too quickly, and how to finally recognize the difference between attention and genuine connection. There's something you need to understand about people who take your body but don't offer you their soul. They often aren't malicious, they're just disconnected from themselves, from intimacy, from anything that asks them to go beyond surface-level pleasure. And when someone is emotionally disconnected from themselves, they can't connect with you. Even if they try, they might say the right words, they might touch you the right way, but something always feels missing. That missing isn't your imagination. It's the absence of presence. It's the silence where depth should be. Because real intimacy isn't created in bed. It's created in conversation, in eye contact, in listening, in holding space when someone's voice shakes. in being with you instead of trying to impress or consume you. And here's the deeper truth that might sting a little. Sometimes the reason they never gave you their soul is because they didn't know how to access it themselves. They don't have the emotional vocabulary. They don't know how to sit in discomfort. They never learned how to feel safe in vulnerability. So instead, they perform love, they perform interest, they perform affection, but performing and being are not the same. And if you're someone who feels deeply, who wants truth and not just touch, you'll always sense the gap. You'll always know when something isn't being said. You'll always pick up on the emotional emptiness behind their sweet words. And it will leave you unsettled, even if everything seems fine on the surface. So how do you protect yourself without becoming cold or guarded? How do you give without losing? How do you stay open without being taken advantage of? That's where we go now, because your sensitivity, your depth, your willingness to love with your whole self, these are not weaknesses. They just need boundaries, not walls, not shut down, not I'll never trust again, but loving, clear boundaries that say you may be drawn to my warmth, but if you want access to my soul, you have to show me yours too. Let's talk about boundaries of emotional alignment. One of the most powerful lessons you can learn is this. Don't give your body to someone who hasn't earned access to your inner world. That doesn't mean you need to play games or hold back affection. It means you lead with your intention, not your attachment. Before you ask, do they like me? Ask, are they capable of depth? Do they listen with their full attention? Do they ask about how I feel, not just what I do? Do they stay consistent, especially after the excitement wears off? Because the truth is, many people chase connection, but only a few can hold it. Let's get practical. 5 signs they're not emotionally available. They rush physical intimacy, but avoid emotional conversations. They'll text late at night. They'll compliment your body. But when you talk about your fears, your childhood, or your dreams, they deflect, joke, or disappear. 2, they're inconsistent. Some days they're fully present. Other days they vanish without explanation. That inconsistency isn't your fault. It's a symptom of emotional unavailability. 3, they avoid defining the relationship. They enjoy the closeness, but flinch when you ask for clarity. They'll say things like, let's not label it. I'm just seeing where this goes. Translation? They want the benefits of connection without the responsibility of it. 4, they never ask deep questions. You know everything about their weekend, but nothing about their wounds. They never ask what scares you. They never sit with your sadness. That's not intimacy. It's companionship without depth. 5, they make you feel unsure more than seen. If you're constantly questioning your worth, rereading messages, trying to decode silence, that's not love. That's emotional starvation. So what do you do with this awareness? You stop chasing people who only want parts of you. You stop giving full access to someone who shows up halfway. And most importantly, you stop blaming yourself for wanting more. Because wanting more is not neediness, it's wisdom. It's emotional intelligence. It's your inner self recognizing what's healthy. You were never too much. You were just in a connection that offered too little. And now you're learning to stop calling that love. You are not here to be consumed. You are here to be met. Body, mind, and soul. And until someone can offer you that alignment, you are allowed to wait. You are allowed to walk away. You are allowed to protect your peace. Because real connection doesn't cost your self-worth. It reflects it, something that people don't always understand. Because on the outside, it looked like just another fling, another phase, another person. But to you, it was more. It was a moment where you showed up fully, open, willing, hopeful. You didn't just offer your body, you offered your trust. And now you're left with the echo of what could have been, trying to make sense of why you feel so much for someone who gave so little. So let's talk about something essential on this healing path: rebuilding your self-trust. Because when someone receives your body and ignores your soul, it doesn't just hurt your heart, it shakes your confidence in your own judgment. You start asking yourself, why did I let that happen? Why didn't I see it sooner? Why do I always fall for the emotionally unavailable ones? And without even realizing it, you start distrusting yourself more than you ever distrusted them. That's the hidden wound no one talks about. You didn't lose by being real. You weren't wrong for wanting connection. You simply met someone at a depth they weren't ready for. And now, it's time to stop turning that into a story of shame. Step 1, separate the pain from your identity. It's tempting to internalize rejection or emotional absence as something personal. But please remember, their lack of depth has nothing to do with your worth. You are not hard to love. You are not too emotional. You are not naive. You are brave for showing up. You are rare for wanting real love in a world flooded with performance. Don't let the wrong connection convince you to become colder or smaller. Let it refine your standards, not your self-worth. Step 2, stop replaying the story. The most painful part of emotional imbalance isn't always the loss, it's the constant replaying of what you said, what they did, what you should have done differently. That loop doesn't give you clarity. It keeps you stuck in guilt and overthinking. So here's a truth to anchor in. When someone chooses not to love you deeply, it's not a reflection of your lack. It's a reflection of their capacity. You could have been more patient, more quiet, more exciting, more detached, and it still wouldn't have made them more available. Why? Because depth is not something you earn from someone. It's something they choose to bring. And if they didn't bring it, that's on them, not you. Someone who feels honored, not entitled to touch your skin. Someone who doesn't just take what's offered, but contributes to what's being built. You deserve someone whose soul leans in when you speak, who doesn't just want the pleasure of your presence, but the privilege of your mind, your stories, your silence. And maybe most importantly, you deserve someone who doesn't make you question your enoughness. But that kind of connection won't come from lowering your standard. It won't come from staying silent to avoid being too much. And it definitely won't come from giving your body as a way to earn someone's love. So take this pain and let it become your teacher, not your bitterness, not your baggage, but your boundary. Because this time, you don't need to become harder. You need to become clearer about who gets access, clear about what love looks like for you, clear about the difference between chemistry and connection. Step 4, reconnect with your own soul first. Before you seek another relationship, pause. Not because you're broken, but because you deserve to return to yourself first. Ask, what am I craving when I reach for connection? Do I feel safe with myself in stillness? Am I trying to heal through someone else's affection? Because the more you learn to sit with your own heart, to comfort it, to speak gently to it, to forgive it, the less likely you'll be to hand it to someone who can't hold. And the more you love your own depth, the less entertained you'll be by people who can't meet you there. Let this experience change you, but in the right direction, not into someone colder, but into someone wiser, more awake, more intentional, more rooted. This was never about punishing yourself for giving too much. It's about learning how to give to someone who is emotionally present enough to receive. And here's a truth you may not believe yet, but it's coming. One day, someone will thank you for your softness, for your clarity, for your ability to feel so deeply in a world that avoids emotion. They'll meet your soul with the same reverence you've always longed for. And when that day comes, you'll be grateful you didn't close yourself off forever. You'll be grateful that you healed with grace, that you took the long road back to your self-worth, and that you waited for something real, not just immediate. Not everyone will understand what it feels like to share your body with someone, while silently realizing they never intended to share themselves with you. But you understand, and now because of that, you carry a deeper wisdom. A wisdom that whispers, I won't confuse closeness with connection again. That's growth, not loud, not dramatic, just quiet, sacred evolution. You might still feel those moments of warmth, or wonder if it really meant nothing to them. But instead of asking, why didn't they choose me? Start asking, why did I keep choosing someone who never truly saw me? And from that question, healing begins. Because your pain didn't come from giving love. It came from giving love to someone who didn't know what to do with it. They wanted your light, but weren't willing to sit with your shadow. They wanted your body, but resisted your truth. They wanted the experience of you, but not the responsibility of intimacy. And for a while, you let it slide. You hoped, you waited, you gave. But now, you're reclaiming yourself, not in anger, but in clarity. You're learning the difference between being desired and being valued, between being touched and being held, between being chosen and being cherished. And that difference changes everything. This wasn't a mistake, it was a mirror. You didn't fail, you didn't fall too fast, you didn't ruin it by caring too much. You simply walked into a mirror that showed you what happens when you compromise your emotional needs for the illusion of connection. A mirror that revealed your tendency to prioritize potential over reality. A mirror that reminded you you deserve reciprocity, not just moment. You needed to see this version of yourself, not to feel ashamed of her, but to love her back to life. Because she wasn't foolish, she was hopeful, she was loving, she was trying, and now she's learning to ask harder questions before giving softer parts. Learning to stop mistaking chemistry for compatibility. Learning to wait for someone whose presence matches their passion. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. Hard-earned, quiet, powerful wisdom. What happens now? From this moment forward, your life is no longer about proving you're worthy of love. It's about learning how to recognize love that's worthy of you. Love that isn't afraid of depth. Love that doesn't disappear when things get real. Love that honors your heart, your body, and your soul in alignment. And the most beautiful part, that kind of love starts with you. The way you speak to yourself, the way you choose yourself, the way you say, I will not settle for halfway anymore. Not because you're bitter, but because you're awake. So breathe this in with me. You are allowed to want depth. You are allowed to slow down. You are allowed to say, I don't just want connection, I want meaning. You are not behind, you are not broken, you are becoming. And becoming is a messy, sacred, beautiful thing. So don't run from this pain. Let it teach you, let it shape you, let it gently burn away every version of you that thought being chosen meant being whole. You were whole all along, you just needed to remember. Let them go, gently. If they couldn't give you their soul, then it was never going to be enough, no matter how much you gave. So let them go, not with bitterness, not with rage, but with grace. Let them go without carrying the weight of what is. Let them go knowing that your next chapter deserves something mutual, mature, and soul deep. Because here's the truth, real love doesn't need to be chased. It meets you where you are, and it stays, fully, emotionally, consistently, and you're worthy of nothing less. If this spoke to your heart, if you felt seen in this message, I want you to do two simple things. One, take a moment today to say to yourself, I will never again settle for love that cost me my self-worth. Two, subscribe to this channel, because here you'll find more than just advice. You'll find reminders of your strength, your worth, and your power to love again without losing yourself in the process. Leave a comment below if this hit home, or just type, I choose depth. Let it be your quiet declaration. And remember, you didn't lose them, you found you.